If you struggle with binge eating or emotional eating or just overeating when you are in a really bad, tough mental state, then this video is for you. Today, we are going to talk about what you need to do on the days where you are having a really emotionally tough day. Things are just not going your way. You're going through a stressful period in your life, or you just live a stressful life every day, whether that's your actual life or you're constantly stressing yourself out by the things you're telling yourself and how you live and approach your entire life. This is how I used to live my life. And on the days where my moods were so low, I was so stressed or anxious or just sad and lonely, I didn't know how to handle my emotions. So I would just turn to food. I would just turn to overeating. I would turn to sugar, to wine, to alcohol to help soothe me, to help me feel better short term momentarily. But of course, it never made me feel better long term. It just made me feel worse about myself. I gained weight. My clothes didn't fit. I had acne. I felt puffy. I felt inflamed. It was a really tough cycle because then once you feel worse about yourself, you just want to continue emotionally eating because you feel bad. So we are going to talk about what I have turned to and also what I teach my one-on-one clients when they have those really emotionally tough days to help actually get you out of those days, propel you into the positive, and help get you back on track with your health and fitness goals. The first thing that you need to understand is that it is completely normal and okay to feel negative emotions. We are human. We are going to feel the entire spectrum of emotions from positive to negative. It's inevitable. We're human. It's totally normal and it's totally okay to feel those feelings. However, what I want you to know is that when you are in a negative emotional state, any thoughts that you have in that state is going to be negative. That is why when you are sad or when you're stressed or you're having a bad day, everything just seems gray and gloomy. But if you start your day off on a great note, you had an awesome morning to yourself, you're able to take care of yourself, the rest of the day, even if bad things happen, so much easier to let it roll off your shoulders because you're feeling good and you're in a high energy vibration state. So it's just so much easier to be unbothered by those little annoyances that often happen during our day. So what you need to know is that when you're in a negative state, you attract negative thoughts. And those negative thoughts often tell you to take more negative actions like binge eating or drinking or sulking on the couch and watching Netflix, right? Those, when you're in a negative state, it's going to attract negative thoughts. So understanding that, it is important that you feel your feelings, but get yourself from a negative state to then a neutral or positive state. If you are feeling really, really bad, it's a really tough day. It can be hard to go from absolutely tough day to positive. So instead of trying to make that giant leap, that's why I say neutral or positive, because sometimes it's just easier to get you to a neutral state rather than going from negative to positive. So when you are in that down, negative, sad state, it is so important that you have go to easy to do habits that you know without fail when you do them, it helps you feel even 1% better, or at the very least, it doesn't make you feel worse. So when we are feeling really down, thinking about going to the gym and doing a really intense workout may be out of the question. That just feels way too difficult for where we currently are. But a go-to easy habit that you could implement, as an example, when you're feeling really down and really sad, is going for a 2-minute walk outside, or stepping outside for 1 minute, not even walking, but just soaking in the sunlight, right? So those are things that you know are not going to make you feel worse, and they can help even boost you just a little bit. And they're so easy that even when you're feeling really down, you can still get yourself to do. So you need to have substitute habits for when you have down days. To give you an example, I go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. But if I'm having a really tough day, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll replace going to the gym like I had originally planned for just walking outside or walking on my walking pad. Because to me, that feels so much easier. Even if I don't want to do it, it feels a lot easier to get myself to do compared to going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. That feels really difficult. So instead, on my really down days, I will go on my walking pad or I will walk outside. And again, what that does is it helps shift me from a negative state to either a neutral or a positive state. And once you get yourself to a neutral or positive state, you then can slowly get back into your healthy habits without completely throwing all your healthy habits out the window, which we tend to do when we're feeling negative. So for example, in the past, what I would have done is if I was feeling bad and I was supposed to go to the gym, right? Instead of saying, oh, I will do an easy habit that I know will boost me up, right? Because I didn't know these techniques and tools at the time. I would just say, oh, I feel like crap, so I'm going to skip the gym and then just do whatever I feel like, which is laying on the couch and eating a bag of Cheetos. I know for a fact that maybe momentarily I'll feel good, but without a doubt, long term, I will feel terrible, absolutely terrible. Right? So now I've learned, okay, I don't need to have intense, long habits and goals on my hard days, but I do need to have small, easy, positive, healthy habits that I can go to even when I'm feeling absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. So again, instead of going to the gym, I will just walk on my walking pad or go outside. When it comes to nutrition, what do we want to do when we're sad? Eat like crap, right? And so what I've noticed for me is that it's very difficult when I'm having a craving, when I'm sad, it's very difficult for me to stop myself and not have it all together. To me, that feels too difficult. Maybe on my highly motivated days, I can do that. But on my sad, hard days, it feels too hard. So instead of trying to not get myself to eat what I'm craving or just completely indulge in my cravings, which is what I would have done in the past, which would have made me feel terrible, what I do now as my go-to easy, healthy habit is that I still make sure that my main meal is whole food focused. And then I'll add on to my main meal a dessert or a treat of what I'm craving because I am feeling emotional. So for me, that feels easy where, okay, I can still have what I'm craving because if I don't have it at all, that feels hard, right? But I am going to make sure I prioritize whole foods in my main meal so that I can still feel my energy and my vibration raise from those whole foods. So on my really, really, really tough days, that is my compromise with myself where I'm still going to focus on whole foods, but I am going to incorporate what I am craving into my meals so that I cannot feel like I'm working against myself, but again, I'm still prioritizing whole foods, which will help boost me up, make me feel more positive and energized, which will then help build the momentum to get me back into my normal healthy habits. On your emotionally tough days, it's also so important to already have a go-to photo or item or quote that you remind yourself of of why you're doing all of these healthy habits and starting your journey in the first place, to remind you, even on the hard days, this is still important to me. And it's so important that you gather these things before you reach your down days, because when you have those tough days, you're not going to want to dig up those motivational photos or quotes or items that remind you why you are doing this. You're just not going to have the energy. So you need to pre-plan and predict that you are going to have an emotionally tough day, because you're human, and already have these photos and items and quotes set aside that you can easily access, like in a photo album or hanging in your closet, so that you can go to those when you are feeling unmotivated and sad and down, as, oh yes, okay, that's why I'm doing this. And so to give you an example, for me, one of the things that really motivated me was this photo that I took when I was out at a day club in Scottsdale. And I was really ashamed of where I had gotten my health and my body to, because I was just eating and drinking literally anything and everything, and I did not feel comfortable in my skin at all. And when I look at that photo, it reminds me of where I do not want to get myself back to, the habits, the person that I no longer choose to be. So even on my down days, which I have today, I will go ahead and look at that photo, which is in my favorites album on my phone, as my reminder of, Vivian, this is what happens when you allow yourself to indulge your negative emotions. This is why it's so important that you still go on a walk outside, that you still prioritize those whole foods, that you still drink water, that you still do healthy habits, even on the days where it feels very hard to. You don't have to go all out, but do what you can. Still show up for yourself and do not throw in the towel. Now, for an item that you can use to remind yourself why you're doing this, a lot of my clients, they will have specifically jeans or pants that they love, but no longer fit, and they want to fit into them again. So you can hang up a pair of your favorite jeans or pants in your closet as a reminder of the person, the body that you want. Again, it doesn't even have to be size related if your goal isn't weight loss. It could be a picture of your daughter as a reminder of, if I do not get healthy and fit, I will not be able to run around and play with my child. It can be any item, photo, representation of something that reminds you why you are doing this journey in the first place. And lastly, a quote. There's so many weight loss, fitness, health related quotes out there that you can dig up. If you don't have any right now, you can literally go to Google and search fitness motivation quote, and then find one that resonates with you. And you can take a screenshot of that, save it in your favorites album, and again, reread that on the days where you do not feel like showing up for yourself. And we all have those. I really want you to understand that we all have those. It's not about not having those days. It's about having those days and understanding what you need to do on those days to get yourself back up, to pick yourself back up, to feel good again, to feel positive, high energy, motivated again, so you can get back on track as quickly as possible. Lastly, we touched on this in the beginning, but again, it is so important that you remind yourself that like attracts like. If you are in a negative state, you're going to attract negative thoughts. So when you are feeling negative, you have to be very conscious of the thoughts that you are having in that state, because more likely than not, it's not going to attract positive habits and thoughts. I know for me, when I'm feeling negative, that is an immediate red flag that any thoughts that I have in that state are thoughts that I should not listen to, because I'm in a negative state. Any thoughts that I attract in that negative state are going to be negative, and they're not going to serve my long-term goals or my highest self. I need to fix my emotional state before I actually listen to the thoughts that I have. And fixing your emotional state will look different for everybody. But number one, it's just allowing yourself to feel. It's not fighting against the negative emotion. Allow yourself to be sad, to be angry, to feel what you need to feel and process those emotions. And once you have processed them and understand, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way, I acknowledge that I'm feeling this way. From there, then you can say, okay, where do I want to go from here? Do I feel ready to pick myself back up, or do I feel like I need a little bit more self-care and to just give myself a hug and tell myself it's going to be okay? You know, once you are able to fully process those emotions, at that point you then need to ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do to pick myself back up? And it can be something, again, so small, like just getting some sunshine, taking a bath, foam rolling, stretching, or just doing small things that make you feel good to help pick you back up and put you in a high vibration, a positive energy state, because only from there can you truly make progress on your goals. One of the biggest parts of overcoming binge eating and emotional eating for me was learning how to master my own emotions and how to navigate my mind and my body on the days where I just wasn't feeling good. And again, it was understanding that if I go to my normal negative emotion habits, it's just gonna make me feel worse. However, I know that trying to aim for my normal high vibration, motivated state habits, that's just gonna feel overwhelming and stressful because I'm just feeling so low, and trying to get myself to do all these things just feels impossible. So I need to meet myself in the middle where I have go-to easy habits that I know always make me feel better when I do them and are easy enough that even when I'm feeling so down and so low, I can still get myself to do them. Again, it is so normal to experience negative emotion. It is so normal and it is completely okay to feel them and to process them. You need to feel them. You need to process them. You need to acknowledge them and let them know that they are being seen. There's a reason for those negative emotions, but we must understand that we are not in our most powerful state when we are feeling negative. So we must process our emotions and then pick ourselves back up so that we can feel powerful and courageous and positive. And only from that state can we then start to solve whatever problems are going on in our life or make progress towards the goals that are important to us. Now, if you would like to work with me one-on-one and you are just so tired of trying to go this journey on your own without the support and the tools and the knowledge that you feel would truly help you master your mindset and your lifestyle and your healthy habits, then you can go to my website and apply to work with me one-on-one at www.teamevolve.co. And you can also follow me on my other social medias where I post so many more yo-yo dieting, overcoming binge eating tips on Instagram at Vivian No, and on TikTok at Vivian No with an underscore at the end. And if you would like to see more videos from me here on YouTube, then you can go ahead and click on this video right here. And lastly, thank you so much for joining me today. And I am sending you so much love on your journey. Bye, guys.